Hello, everyone, and welcome to Have You No Game. I'm John Hunter. Well, if you have no game, this video is going to be for you. Like my last video on November 8th, I'm going to cover some of the board games that are on sale on Amazon right now for some really good prices. So let's go ahead and get started. The first game I have up for you is Ticket to Ride, the base game. Currently, it's 20% off on Amazon for just under $44. This is a fantastic game. It's a good family board game. It's fun. It's a great game if you're just getting started into the new generation of board games. Although this has been around for a little while, it's a really great, fun game. Essentially, in this game, as you can see here, it's a board game involving trains, and what you're trying to do is make connections of trains with the similar color. There's cities on the map, and in the game, each player is going to have a couple objectives where they're trying to connect trains from one city, like New York, all the way to San Francisco, or Atlanta, all the way over to Washington. The longer the route, the more points you'll get. You also score points just by making any basic connection from one city to the other of the same colored type trains. And the longer that connection, you'll get more points. So essentially, as you can see, there are colored cards here. Those will help you to make those connections. On the board, you'll notice that there's different colored routes. So if it's a yellow route, you would need to collect the yellow cards in hand to be able to complete that route. So in this, as you see here, there's 4 spaces of yellow. You would need to turn in 4 yellow cards, and then you can lay your trains down and connect that route and score the points. Also here in the bottom corner of the map, you can kind of see that there's a scoring chart for how long the route is. So 1 train will get you 1 point, 2 trains is going to get you 2 points, and then it goes up from there. A really fun game, easy to play. The goal of the game is to have the most points at the end of the game. Now, there are also a number of varieties of this game. As you can see, this map is the United States. This game's been around a while, so there's lots of versions out. Those are also on sale. Here we have Ticket to Ride Europe. And the map is going to be Europe and the different train lines in Europe. This one's on sale for 31% off, just under $35. The next one is Ticket to Ride France. So the map is going to be just the country of France. This one is 20% off at just under $36. Ticket to Ride London. It's a little smaller map. But this is 36% off. You can get it for under $16. And then finally, if you have young kids and you're looking for good games for them, they have a version that's good for kids. It's a lot more simplified. It's a little more cartoony. This is going to be good for kids age ranges 6 and up. So each of these versions, they'll have a little bit of different variation in the rules, some new mechanics in it, so they each play a little bit differently. So if you have one, it still may be worth getting the other. All right, let's move on to the next one. Carcassonne. Carcassonne is another big famous game. Most people that have big board game collections will have this one in it. It's another simple to play game. Right now, it's 35% off for just under $23. This is a simple game where you are basically laying down these tiles. And as you can see, each of the tiles, a lot of them will have roads. There's cities, and this is a medieval themed game. So these are medieval castle type cities. And each player takes turns placing a tile. The tile placement has to match any other tile that it's adjacent to. So if you're placing a tile with a road, you have to make sure that there's a road on the other tile that it's touching. Same goes with the city. And there's a couple other tiles. I won't get into everything, but basically the goal is, as you can see, there's blue and red meeples. Each player will have their meeples that after they place a tile, they can put their meeple on one of the tiles and set them up to be able to score points for you. So for instance, if you lay a road tile, you can place a meeple on the actual road of that tile, which means you're claiming that road to score you points. And then as the tiles get laid, once you have a road that is completed, meaning it connects one city to another city, you'll score points, 1 point for each number of tiles with that road on it. Same thing with cities. Once you complete the loop of a city, so here you can see in this that some of the cities are completely encircled, so that's a completed city, whereas others are missing a portion. When the city is completed, you'll score points based on the number of tiles that participate in completing that city. There's a few other ways that you can complete tiles and score points. I won't get into that right now, but I just want to give you a feel for how this game plays. It's a very quick game. It's a lot of fun. And this one is a really good price at 35% off. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Carcassonne, my first Carcassonne. So this is another alternative if you have young kids and you're trying to get them into the board gaming. This is going to be a little more simplified. The tiles are a little more cartoony, so it's going to appeal to the kids, but essentially play the same with a little bit more simplified rules. This one is only 6% off, just under $28, but maybe a good gift for the coming holidays for your family. Okay, and the next game that we have is AZUL. This is a fun game of laying tiles to complete a to complete this wall here of tiles that match what you see printed on the board. So essentially what happens is in a first round, the starting player is going to put out 4 tiles on these circles, and then players take turns pulling all the tiles off of the circle and placing them on the board here in this little step ladder type area. You can only place tiles of the same color on that horizontal line. And then everyone keeps going until all those tiles are removed from the circles in the middle. And then anyone that has a completed line, like in this picture, there's yellow tiles, they get to move over the yellow tile onto this yellow space. And once that's done, you'll have another round that gets started. You'll place out 4 more tiles on each of the circles, and you keep going around. And so maybe the next time you fill this bottom line with red tiles. And if you complete that red line, once the round ends, you get to bump that red tile over here. So what you're trying to do is complete the lines in this grid right here. You'll score points if you based on if you have horizontal lines, vertical lines, and there's some other scoring mechanics involved in this. And essentially, once the first player completes their first horizontal line, that triggers the end game, and you'll score points. So there's a little bit more to it, but this is a pretty simple game to play, and it's quick. The tiles themselves are like really good quality, so it's a good tactile game. And with the colors, it's a lot of fun. So that's one that I recommend. Let me close that out. And again, this is marked down 46%. It's under $22. Again, if you're building your board game collection and you don't have this, I really recommend picking this one up. I have it, and can tell you it's a lot of fun. All right, moving on. Next game is, oops, okay, we'll leave that up. Splendor. So in Splendor, well, let's deal with the price first. 50% off on this game. You can get it for under $23. So a great deal on this one. Splendor is a game where basically you are playing the role of like a jewel crafter. So let me click this up here. So as you can see, the board game layout is you're going to have 3 rows of 4 cards. There's 5 different jewel types, and then there's gold. And then up at the top, you have aristocrats in the city. And ultimately, what you're trying to do is get up to 15 prestige points and win the game. And what you have to do is on your turn, you have a number of options. You can either pick 3 gem tokens here, but they each have to be a different type, or you can pick 2 of the same. The reason why you would do that is because you want to pick up these cards in the center. The cost of the card that you're picking up is listed along the side here. So this particular card, this white card, would cost a sapphire, an emerald, a ruby, and I don't know what that brown one is. But at any rate, you would get that card and then place that in front of you. So you'll also notice in the top, this card here has a diamond. So once this card's in front of you on your next play, when you go to purchase a card, this diamond counts towards the cost. So if the next time I wanted this card here, one of the costs is a diamond. So instead of turning in one of these diamond tokens, this card that's now in front of me would pay that cost, and then I would just have to turn in the green, the red, and the brown tokens there. Now, some of these cards here will have these points up here. These are your prestige points. So you're trying to get to 15. So if you collected this card here, you're going to get 2 prestige points and push you towards that 15-point goal. Now, the other thing is these aristocrats will also give you other bonuses and provide you with prestige points. So this is a very brief overview. I'm not trying to do a review, so just trying to get you a feel for this game. Very colorful. The gems look really cool. This is a game. Let's see if I don't have the age range for it. 10 and up, right? So 10 and up, younger kids can play that. You might even be able to go a little lower on the age. It's not that complicated. All right, let's keep moving on. Okay, the next game is Codenames. So if you're someone who's really good with words and clues, this is a really cool game. Essentially, what you're going to do is it's a little blurry in this picture here that they have up, but you're going to place out a grid of 25 cards, 5 cards across, 5 cards down. Each of these cards have 1 word on it. This is a team game, so each team's going to have 1 player who acts as the spy master. You have the red team, you have the blue team. The goal of this game is for the spy master on your team to give you clues to try to figure out which cards they need to pick. So the theme of this game is spies. You're basically trying to help your team locate which cards are their agents in the field. So you see this this little card here. This is the key. There's a bunch of different ones included in the game, so each game's different. But essentially, this card represents the 5x5 grid of these word cards out on the table. And so if I was the blue team, I'm trying to get my team to pick in this top row, the first and the third, the second row, the second and the fifth, and so on. So, like I said, these cards will have 1 word on it. So each round, the spy master will give a clue, and then they give a number. So some of these words, like for instance, it could be moon on one card and star on the other, your clue could be space 2. And so you're giving the word clue of space, and then the number tells your team how many cards you think your clue applies to. And so then they have to guess. If they guess right, you get to cover up that word card with your colored tile here representing your team's agent. Now there's a couple traps. You'll notice on this grid, there's tan, that's civilians. So you're not accomplishing your goal if they happen to pick one of those because they didn't pick up on your clue. And then in this particular photo, you can see the center tile has a black square. That's the assassin. So if you give a clue, you want to avoid one that's going to get your players to pick up that card represented by the assassin, because if your player accidentally picks that one, your entire team completely loses the game. So you have to think about your clues really carefully. So, and then the game ends when one team has found all of their agents that they're required. So kind of a good team party type game. This is a great price. It's 50% off. It's less than $13. It's another one that tends to be a staple in anyone's board game collection these days. There is another version, Codenames Duel, which is a 2-player game, which seems to be rated a little bit higher, but this still looks like a pretty fun game, particularly if you like the concept of giving clues. Okay, moving on. Let's see here. The next is Fallout. So Fallout is a major video board game. There's a whole series of them. They're up to Fallout 1, 2, 3, 4, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 76. It's been a very popular video game franchise. This particular game is 20% off. You can get it for under $56. The goal of this game is the board game is set up making these hexagon tiles connected. There's a scenario book that will tell you how to lay out these tiles and give you the objective for what you're doing in that particular game. The tiles themselves start off face down. So you see your figures here on the board. Each player will have some options. They can explore a tile, which means they get to flip it over. They can move, and you'll see there's different sections on each of these. So they can move up to 2 of these little spaces. And essentially, you're going to be out exploring this board and trying to accomplish the game's objective. The only problem is there's certain hazards. Now, this game, the theme for this is a post-nuclear war. So there's radiation all over the place. There's irradiated monsters and animals that will attack you, and other hazards that you have to deal with in this game as you explore through the map and try to get your mission accomplished. So particularly if you're someone who has played the video game and you just want a different angle to enjoy this post-nuclear war themed game, this could be a lot of fun. Now, the other thing that it also has sort of like a 1950s era in terms of like the artwork and when this nuclear war would have happened. Okay, next game we have is Mansions of Madness. Currently, it's 18% off for just under $90. Sounds a bit pricey, but again, this is a 5-star rated game. It's one of the top rated games in board gaming right now. Now, the one thing to note about this game is it's an app assisted board game, which means you're going to want to have some sort of a tablet to download the app that is a part of this game. Now, the app itself is free, and I tend to have a little bit of reservation about getting board games that require apps, I always worry about, well, how long is that app going to be supported? At what point does this game become useless because maybe the app's not functioning or whatever? The only thing I will say with this game is, as you can see in the bottom corner here with the FF logo, this is a game by Fantasy Flight Games. They're one of the top board game manufacturers right now, and I do feel fairly confident that they will continue to support the app for this game for a very long time. So I definitely think you'll get your money's worth playing it several times before there's any issues with the map, or I'm sorry, the app several years down the road, probably. At any rate, this is a really cool game. The theme of this is, if you're familiar with the author H.P. Lovecraft and his horror-themed stories, so this is sort of like a gothic horror game where anywhere from 1 to 5 players are going to work cooperatively to explore the mansion and the various tiles. And as they're exploring, they're going to be looking to acquire things that will help them to accomplish their goals. So this game will have, whenever you play, you pick a scenario. It'll give you a narrative about what's going on and then what you're trying to accomplish. So as you play the game, you explore the different areas of the mansion, picking up items that you think may help you. And ultimately, you're working to complete whatever that mission is. Now, the base game comes with 4 scenarios that you can work on. The app allows you to continue. So if you don't finish in one game session, you can pick right up where you left off. But another cool part of this game is it's got some really neat miniatures in it. So if you're into miniatures, that's really cool. You paint them up, make them look even better. But Fantasy Flight Games puts out really good games, and this is one of their top games. So 18% off might be a good time to pick this one up. Just as a quick note, there's an expansion to Mansions of Madness, so maybe if you already have the base game, you might want to pick up this expansion. It's 46% off, so you can get this for under $18. So just another option for you. Now, that's all the new games that I have for you today. Just wanted to get a quick video out for you. I am pointing out there's a few games, so back on November 8th, I put out a whole list of games that were on sale then. One of them was Mysterium. Not going to cover that again. You can go back to my video from the 8th if you want a little more details on it. I'm just wanting to point out it's still on sale, 36% off. Same thing with Seven Wonders Duel, 33% off. And I'm sorry, I'll go back. Seven Wonders, 33% off. And then Seven Wonders Duel is 27% off. So in that video from a few days ago, I had a list of 11 games. Those sale prices were only about, I would say about at least half of them weren't on sale by the next day. So if you're watching this and the game interests you, I would recommend going ahead and grab it right away so you don't miss out on that deal. The other thing is I do plan to keep trying to monitor for really good sale prices for you. With the holidays coming up, I know a lot of people are looking at games for themselves, for their family, etc. So feel free to give me a subscribe and click that notification bell. Really is going to be important for these types of videos, so you get notified right away and you're not missing out on your time window to get these really good deals and potentially build up your board game collection pretty quick for cheap. So hopefully this has been helpful to you all. Sorry if it's a little bit sloppy, but I'm just trying to get it out real quick so that you can jump on these prices. Okay, and lastly, I just want to say that the links to Amazon will be in the description below. Also, I'll put the links to BoardGameGeek.com for each of those games, so if you want more information, see more pictures, get a better description of the game, You can go there and find that information. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. You all take care and have a great day of gaming.